Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Wednesdays at the Wink. I'm TJ Downing with the SMG Network here across from campus of the Walsh University. And we're here with the Cavaliers. I'll tell you what, it's always fun for me. I talk a little bit of my love language, man. Football, it's what kind of raised me, was kind of gave me some opportunities in my life, and it's given these guys opportunities as well. Nate Watkins and Cam Hollabaugh, members of the Walsh Cavalier men's football team. We're going to get a chance to hear from Coach Fank. A couple other dudes going to jump in here and talk a little football with us. But right now we're going to talk a little one-on-one Walsh Cavalier football action, guys. I want to, since we are getting into, we'll call it post-bye week, getting into your third regular season game that'll be coming up here on Saturday at home on Larry Stout Field against Kentucky Wesleyan. Let's rewind it back to week one. Let's talk coming out of training camp, how you guys were feeling, able to put up 42 points offensively. Now, I know you guys specialize more on the defensive side of the ball, but you guys were able to get a nice opening victory on the road against the Hilltoppers. Always tough to start on the road, right, Cam? When you got to be a road warrior coming out of camp. Talk about just how everybody was feeling defensively, a whole team vibe, and obviously you've been one of the leaders of the group for the past couple of years. So what's really been the fingerprint and what will be kind of the pulse of this team?
I think that game, special teams kind of set the tone right off the rip. Garrett Waite returned a kick for a touchdown. I think if you start a season like that, I think you're getting off on the right foot. I think we came out, had a lot of energy, both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Defense, we did what we always do. I think the offense showed some signs. They showed some early life early in the year. They got a couple big plays, a couple touchdowns, momentum. We had some turnovers on defense. I think we just came to play. I think everybody was hungry. Everybody wanted to get out there and play, and I think if we continue to carry that over to the GMAC that we're starting now, conference play, I think we'll have a good season, and we'll see what happens.
Nate, for you, kind of being a guy locally from the area that's been able to kind of learn under this guy, be a little bit of an understudy. Sometimes you put your hand down in the dirt. Sometimes you stand up. I mean, you can kind of do it all defensively, but being able to learn and be playing alongside a guy like this, man, how have you guys been able to kind of play off of each other defensively throughout not only last year but coming into this year?
It's been great. With all his knowledge and all, how long he's been playing for, he's very smart individual. He knows what everything and everybody is doing. So it's really great to be next to him because if I ever have a question, I know I can come to him because he knows everything.
Yeah.
So it's been great playing beside him, and yeah.
For you, I mean, defensively, what are some of your mindsets? And when you take the field, obviously defensively you have to be a nasty guy, right? We're not going to give you the nickname Nasty Nate just yet, but I'll tell you what, just being smart. Do you lean more towards the intelligent side of defense, or just from the get-go, we got to come out and lay that thump and kind of just set the tone right away?
I feel like it's a mixture of things because we always got to come out and, set the tone. Mm-hmm. No matter if we go first or we coming off second, it doesn't really matter. But you also need to have that intelligence side. Don't get too rowdied up. We got to act like we've been there before. We know the type of team that we are. We know the type of defense that we are. And we just go out there and play ball the best that we can.
I like it. Act like we've been there before. We're here again. Obviously, this is round 2 for us. Season 2, episode 2, right here at the Winking Lizard. Wednesdays at the Wink with our good friends, the Walsh Cavaliers. Walsh Cavaliers Athletics. If you go to athletics.walsh.edu, stay up to date on everything they have going on. Always a lot of great stuff on there. But if you want to also stay up to date on stats, scores, how to purchase tickets, get the schedules, download the Walsh Athletics mobile app. You can go to Google Play, Apple Store, wherever you get your apps. Download the Walsh Athletics mobile app. And always a special shout out to Huntington Bank, Bell Stores, Cleveland Clinic, Mercy Hospital, BSN Sports, and the SAM Center serving area military. All right, Cam, for you, I know maybe we can switch gears here and talk a little baseball. I see you got one of your young baseball proteges back over there. And Coach, I think when we get you on here, we're still trying to figure out, is Cam the only GMAC player of the month for baseball and football? Only guy to ever do that? You may be the stat king on that one, but for you, being a two-sport athlete, right? This is a lot going on, man. You obviously have your course load, but for you to be able to do that in college, to be able to have two of your passions, to be able to fulfill both of those, what's been like the most special thing for you about Walsh University?
I would say just the coaches and my teammates. I think they do a good job balancing the two. Mm-hmm. I'm never too busy with one or the other. I would say in the fall, I dedicate my time to football, and in the spring, I dedicate my time to baseball. But throughout the season, I get in, do my own work for each. I'm always working. I try to work hard in everything that I do. So I think the coaches, I think they've done a good job handling the fact that I play both, and also myself managing both and being able to stay on top of both as much as I can.
Yeah, time management, something I didn't really specialize in when I was in college, but you know, it's great to see you thrive and have success in both, and it's been a pleasure for me to be able to watch it and follow along with it. When you start to think back to week 2, tough loss, 17-10. You know, when you know, I've always said you learn more from your losses than you do your victories, and especially the tight ones like that. You know, when you can pinpoint back to like one play here, one play there. If it goes differently, we may be on the W side. Just kind of recap that game for us, and really all that went into it when you guys took on Wheeling.
Yeah, I think we came out ready to play. I just think sometimes we fail to execute at times, both offensively and defensively. Sometimes we get lazy on defense, coverage-wise. Offensively, we drop some passes, miss some blocks. I think there's opportunities to win those football games this year, last year. I mean, I know we're 1-1, but I think last year there was games we left on the table. I think we could have easily been a 6-4, 6-5 football team. And this year I hope we can find a way to change that, because execution is the most important thing in football. You can drop whatever play, do whatever you want, but if you can't execute, you can't win. So that's been my whole explanation process to some of the stuff that goes wrong. It's just execution. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's the biggest part of the game, right, Nate? I mean, if you can go out there, if you're just going through the motions, going through the steps, you're not executing, and you're not getting 11 guys all on the same page. When you go back and do your film study from that loss, what are some of the things that you're keying in on yourself, and then defensively as a group to say, when we go back out here and gear it back up on Monday, maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, kind of get into your tough, more raw dog type practices where you're really going to bang a little bit, right? What are some things that you're keying in on that film study, again, for the group and for yourself individually to say, you know what, here's where I need to do just a little bit better?
Yeah. Going off yourself, I mean, most of the time you should be your biggest critic, and you should watch everything you should do and take it personal. You know, what I watch in myself is seeing how I step, if I'm making the right move, how I'm getting there. Got to keep running to the ball. You know, it's just little things like that. I mean, even if the play's away with me, I got to find a way how to get in that, you know, that area. You know, you never know when something can come back your way. So that's my part of things. As a team or defensively, I look for, like, if we're all playing together. You know, if one person is not on the same page with the other person, some things aren't just going to go right. You know, that's just how it is. It's a game of inches. It's a game of, you know, it could be just like this. So I think most thing that we look at is how we do certain things and getting on the same page.
Yeah, when you start to think about being a verbal leader, you know, and I think a lot of coaches will say they enjoy guys that, you know, they don't need them to be self-starters, or they like self-starters. The coach doesn't have to do it for you. That motor's running by the time you step between those white lines, right? And I've seen that a lot from you, Cam, over the last couple of years, kind of being a leader of the group. When you think about self-scouting yourself, right, and really you look at all those small little things that Nate was talking about. You know, it's kind of funny. The last thing, I love talking to my linebackers, man, because, you know, the X factor is, I always wanted to know from the reverse side of myself, what's it feel like when you've got a 285, 295-pound offensive tackle just kind of barreling down on you? You're trying to make your reads, you're trying to make your steps, but there's the X factor. I got to take on this massive human being that's coming downhill at me. I mean, what's that thought process like?
I try not to get into that. I try to. Nate does a good job. He squeezes the tackle a lot, which kind of frees me up. But if they get a free release, I just try to work a move, get by him. Just it depends on the play, to be honest. It just, if it's zone my way, I kind of got to put him back in the gap. Yeah. Some other plays I can work a move, get around him. Just all depends.
Right. Use your athleticism.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, you did a lot more stand-up when you were in high school, right?
Yeah.
And now the transition of kind of being able to be a guy that's got to squeeze the tackle down, sometimes putting your hand down into the dirt, and really banging down more in the trenches a little bit. What's that transition been like for you?
It's been a little bit different, being away from the ball, but really it's just a mindset thing.
Yeah.
Really, as you're in your, own head, you got to feel like you can't be stopped, or nobody's bigger than you. You got to feel like you're the best person.
You're
going to
win that one-on-one battle.
You got to have some type of pride that's going to set you over that guy every single play, every single down.
I like it, man. I'll tell you what, we're here Wednesdays at the Wink, Walsh University. The Cavaliers joining us as always. TJ Downing here for the SMG Network. All right, before I get you guys out of here and get our next crew on here with Coach Fank, talking about having that pride, winning those individual battles. When you start to break down Kentucky Wesleyan, who you guys are going to see on Saturday, guys on that team that you faced last year, some new guys coming in. When you are scouting Kentucky Wesleyan, watching some film, what is it that you see? What is it that you expect out of your group come Saturday?
They like to throw the ball deep. A lot of verticals. I think they're like 62% pass, and then 48% run.
Yeah.
And I think they try to air the ball out. They like to keep the ball in their quarterback's hands, throw the ball. He can extend plays. They don't have a really good run game, so it'll be important for us as linebackers and D-line, him to get home, me to get hands on receivers, slow people down, help out the DBs so we don't got receivers running free.
Yeah, 2 minutes before you get ready to go out there for that first series on defense, you got your defensive line group ready to take the field. What's your message to them?
That it starts with us. I mean, everything's going to have to go through us. The quarterback can move around a little bit. The more time that he has in the pocket, the more time it's, a struggle for our corners and everybody that's in the secondary. So no matter what, if it's run or pass, we got to know that it always starts with us. We will set the tone at the line of scrimmage. If we're getting knocked back or not, that's what we got to do every single time. Get knocked back, find a way to get to the quarterback.
Nate Watkins affecting the quarterback. Cam Hollowball, you clean up the interceptions, get the fumbles, whatever the cause and effect is, you're there to take care of it. All right, I appreciate you guys joining us here on Wednesdays at the Wink. We're going to be back with more after this. Cam Hollowball, Nate Watkins, TJ Downing, hang with us. We'll be back with more here at the Washington Square Winking Lizard. Welcome back, everybody, to the Washington Square Winking Lizard. TJ Downing with the SMG Network here on campus with the Walsh Cavaliers. Right across the street from campus here at the Washington Square Winking Lizard. Make sure to get out here and patronize them. Denise, everybody, they do a phenomenal job always hosting us every Wednesday. And we're here all throughout the school year, whether it's fall, winter, spring, bringing in all the sports, all the different varsity teams, coaches, players, all of them come in. Always a special shout out to Greeny organizing and coordinating this whole thing and getting a chance for you to see more of an in-depth look at what some of these athletes go through. Last week, again, shout out to Mitch Dunham, GMAC Player of the Week. After we had him on here, got it done down there at Robert Morris. So we'll have a featured group every week here at the Washington Square Winking Lizard. So make sure to stop out, whether you're leaving or going to the game, leaving the game on Saturday, stop by the Washington Square Winking Lizard. Whatever it may be, event, whether you're just coming out for lunch, stop by here and patronize them for all the great things that they do, not only for us, but the entire Walsh University program. Coach John Fankhauser joining us right now, Jaden Cope. Coach, let's see if we can ask different questions than we did before. I'm going to try not to ask you the same exact question I asked one of those two guys. But, we really kind of kick-started this thing last year when we were over there at the Hall of Fame, and we got a chance. We'll just kick it right into the offensive line stuff. We opened up with Rhodesy, me, you, and Rhodesy. Hard to replace a dude like that, right?
Yeah.
Talk a little offensive line play through the first 2 weeks. How do you feel the guys have really bonded, gelled, come together? You and I know that it's the hardest thing to do, left tackle to right tackle, is to get 5 dudes on the same page. How do you feel those guys have come together as a group post-training camp?
Honestly, I feel like we're the closest group on the team.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's been like that for years since I've been here, honestly. Like you said, David Rhodes I look up to him. I talk to him at least twice a week. And he's still coaching me up on my footwork and stuff like that. So it's just guys like that who we bring into our unit. And I think we ran the ball and pass protection. We played pretty decently, but there's always room for improvement. So
as I watched the offensive line over the years, David Rhodes was a guy that we really leaned upon for a lot of leadership, probably leadership even more than his ability. And he did a great job with our leadership and kind of kept the offensive line going. And once he graduated, it became, Jaden and Dan Gorski and guys that had played a little bit to step up and provide that leadership. And one of the things that he just talked about is how close they are. They are a close group. They are a close group that they really mold together and do the same things together, and that's really a positive for them.
So talk a little bit about that pass protection and that run game stuff when we go through the first 2 weeks of the season. Sitting here 1-1, you've got the hardest thing to do. We know is pass protection. Right, you got a guy that's got a three-way go on you. How do you feel? Let's just talk a little tackle play. When your tackles are trying to protect for a guy that's very mobile.
Right.
You got a quarterback. And I used to scream at some of my mobile quarterbacks sometimes, like, "Hey, listen, man, my butt's to you. I don't know where the heck you're at, man. So, like, help me out on this here." How do you feel? Just give me an overall pass protection grade from left tackle to right tackle through the first 2 weeks of the season.
Honestly, like how you said, Dallas, he probably makes us look a lot better than we actually are.
Come on now.
But, honestly, I feel like up front, I think we gave up 2 sacks. 2 games. That's too many, honestly. But with Dallas, he extends plays with his legs. I feel like across the whole offensive line, we're really solid. We got a new center coming in, and that's a tough job. But he's been taking it really well. Jabril Bradford from Cincinnati. He's a dog, man.
Yeah.
He's a little undersized, but his feet, his technique, everything about him, and the thing is, me and Gorski as upperclassmen, we're really serious. We really want to be good this year, so we push. But we need a guy like Jabril, a younger guy who keeps us calm and makes us realize it's still just a game.
Yeah.
Even though how bad we want to win, he makes us realize it's still just a game, and that's really important for us.
You kind of talked about a grade. If I'd have to give them a grade, I'd say probably a B- right now for where they're at, because we have a lot of youth on the offensive line. Jaden's a redshirt sophomore. Gorski's, I believe, a redshirt sophomore as well. Jabril, who you just mentioned, is starting at center, and he's a redshirt freshman. We had a redshirt freshman at right guard and a redshirt freshman at left guard.
Yeah.
I mean, we're young, so they're getting better. They're understanding what it takes to continually combine and get together and understand the pass protections and run schemes and different fronts that you're going to see. And nothing prepares you more than reps.
Yeah.
And game reps are huge for these guys, and they don't have a lot of game reps in them yet. But I'll say this: I think they're doing a better job than we have done in the past, because they've been around each other. They've been a close group, and they've been studying and trying to get better and working to get better.
Yeah, and that's a good thing, too, when he talks about how together they are and how close they are, being that they're a young group. I mean, that just kind of blossoms throughout the years, and, you just become better, and you don't need to really talk when you're up there on the line, because you already know what your guy next to you is going to do, and you can pick up all – I mean, you know that nobody's ever really – in college football, it doesn't matter what division you're in, what conference you're in. Nobody's ever really going to play you straight. You're going to have to deal with all the crap that gets thrown at you. But for you, Coach, when you start to break down Kentucky Wesleyan and what you guys are going to see on Saturday, what types of things may they throw at you from a defensive side and trying to maybe affect your quarterback, try and keep him in the pocket, keep him from maybe extending those plays? What is it about Kentucky Wesleyan that they do defensively that you guys are going to have to be ready to combat offensively?
Well, I think their defensive line is active. They like to move and do some things that way, as far as kind of like almost like an old school slant and angle, but they'll do a lot of schemes up front to try to get people off, because they're an athletic group that wants to get free up front. And the linebackers, I think number 9 is probably is one of the better linebackers in our league, and he's been I think a 2-year starter now. And he's a force. He's a true Mike linebacker. He can stop run inside. In the secondary, they rotate a lot of guys in, but number 10, their corner is probably one of the better corners we've faced up to this point in the year. They're going to bring some blitzes, but they're going to try to move some people around and do some different things that we don't typically see. They'll play a little bit of a bear front. They'll play a little bit of a 4-2 and do some different things like that and try to move out of it and bring pressure when they need to. Their defensive coordinator's from Cuyahoga Falls. He's a local guy, and I've known him for a number of years, and I think he does a good job with their defense, and they'll be prepared. They've seen us play. They know what we do. They have not seen Dallas. They only saw Cam Macon for about a quarter and a half till he got hurt in last year's game. So we feel like we can get on him and do some things, but we got to make plays and do some things that help us keep the chains moving and end up in the end zone.
I think if Donnie Hertler was here right now, he'd say, you know what, let's run a little Dave. Let's get Jaden to come down here and see if we can't earhole that Mike linebacker and maybe put him into orbit and affect him a little bit. I'm talking about that with Cam and Nate White. And Nate's talking, you got to affect the quarterback, right? For you guys, you need to affect them. Defensively, you need to be able to shock that defensive line, and even those linebackers, start making them think a little bit more, right? With the creativity of it, where it's going to come from, how you're going to block them, because it's not all just, hey, get hands on them and drive your feet. I mean, sometimes you get into a little bit of a scramble, you go through the thigh board, maybe you're going to, you set them up, butt them, cut them, shoot them, whatever you got to do. For you, when you think about getting a chance to go against a really nice linebacker like Coach just talked about, when you're in that offensive line meeting group, getting ready for Saturday, what are some of the things you guys are talking about when it's like, okay, number 9, we're going to have to affect him, right?
Right. So the things that I look at, I really try to see how he fits blocks when he comes down to run. Is he an aggressive guy, or does he not like to get dirty? And then so with the guys who don't want to get dirty, we get real aggressive. So that's going to take him out of this game because he's not used to getting hit. But the guys that really want to come down, we just got to meet them.
Yeah.
We got to meet them. We got to be big, mean, and nasty. We got to do what we are taught to do, is run through somebody's face over and over and over again. So I think we got to do that. But I watched film on 9. He's a really good ball player, but I think that this is the best D-line we've seen all year so far. So I think they run a lot of even fronts. So I think if we come down and push the line of scrimmage, it's a line, so we got to push past the line of scrimmage and put their defensive line into his lap. We take him out to play like that. So we have to control the first level first.
We're getting dirty here at the Winking Lizard, man. You got to love that, Coach. Offensive lineman talking about getting dirty.
You two guys could talk all day, I'm sure.
Oh, man, we could talk all day offensive line play, man. That's my love language.
Yep.
Hey, everybody joining us here at the Winking Lizard, Washington Square Winking Lizard. Wednesdays at the Wink. Appreciate you catching us on the YouTube channel, catching us over at athletics.walsh.edu. Greenie and her crew do a phenomenal job. Also want to give a special shout-out to Huntington Bank, Bell Stores, Cleveland Clinic Mercy Hospital, BSN Sports, and the Sam Center serving area military, giving back over 13,000 pounds of food every first and third Friday to veteran families in need. Make sure you get behind the Sam Center, located over in Massillon, their new facility up in Canal Fulton. They do a phenomenal job. Athletics.walsh.edu is where you can go to check out more information for everything Walsh Athletics, or just get the Walsh Athletics mobile app. Go to Google Play, Apple Store, and stay up to date on schedule, scores, stats, get tickets to the next event. Come out this Saturday, September 21st, Kentucky Wesleyan, rolling into town. Coach, how difficult? I know I kind of overheard you talking a little scheduling here with Greenie before we got started. When you try and fit in a bye week, what are some of the positives? Most people would just say, hey, if you're banged up, gives you a little bit extra time to get some guys healthy. What are some of the difficulties of having a bye week early in the season after just your second football game? How does that all manage? How does that all work?
Well, I'll say this. This was as hard as I've ever had to try to do this with the open date, because the NCAA gave us 12 weeks to play 11 games. I was able to move our first 2 games into weeks, what they call 0 and 1, so week 2 was our opening. But at one point, it was potential, hey, 0 is going to move, but I can't get a week 2 to move, so do you want to open date in week 2? No, you don't. And really everybody else took an open date prior to starting, so they just started late, so it really wasn't an open date. It is hard. The thing I like about what we were able to get done scheduling-wise was we can play our 2 non-conference games and then have an open date and kind of reset ourselves a little bit, and kind of gives our guys a little bit of freshness and all that. We're on an 8-week schedule academically, so really last week was our midterms. So we had our guys focus on our midterms and stuff like that and handle some school stuff, and then get back to football and work on ourselves. And we really did, I think, a good job at working technique and some things that you need to get back to. you lose sight of those things a little bit when you say, I got to go block that guy. I got to go, you lose technique things. So we try to work on technique and all that. Yeah, it's a great opportunity to get us healthy. We weren't real banged up, but we go through a gauntlet now.
Yeah.
Into the GMAC, we're into the gauntlet. We go 9 straight, and we got to be ready to go and stay as healthy as possible. I'd love to have an open date in week 5 or 6, really, in the middle of it, but it is what it is. So we were able to do it. I talked to our players about it, our player council, and they seemed to like what we were able to do and go from there.
Yeah, you guys will head down to Thomas More the following week. Kind of blew my mind. We're talking about a little D-line play, offensive line play last year. I had no idea that Chris Norwell was their coach. And he was a guy that was playing at Illinois on the defensive line. People have always asked me, who's the toughest guy you ever played against? Chris Norwell. You've seen the size of that frame and that body. Massive, right? Gave me so many fits. Those long arms could just stretch you out. You can't reach them. You get in there on pass protection, and he can get those hands down off you and just give you all types of problems. But they're running a great program down there. You talk about the gauntlet. When you're starting to think about that gauntlet, Jaden, when you get that moment, as I talk to the guys, I talked to Nate Watkins about, minutes before you're getting ready to step between those white lines, and you're getting ready to start that gauntlet. You're on the front side of it. You got Kentucky Wesleyan down at Larry Stout Field on Saturday. What's your message not only to the O-line but the entire group, and also knowing, I'm sure Coach will tell you this, and I'll tell you this, and you mentioned it about your guy in there at center. You don't have to be an old veteran guy to step up and be a leader. A lot of leadership, it happens just by your play. But what's your message vocally, verbally to the group before you get ready to take the field on Saturday against Kentucky Wesleyan?
I actually used to be a leader by action. Like I didn't like to talk much, honestly, but I step into being a vocal leader this year. And honestly, my main message to the guy is depend on your brother. If as long as we have this thing is before we walk out and we say I am one. So that's really only focusing on yourself. So if you're doing your job, that's protecting your brother to the best ability, I feel like, because now your brother doesn't have to worry about you. So my main message is it's a game. Go out and have fun, but do it to your best ability at 100% effort, because that's one thing we all can control is our effort. So that's my main thing is go out, have fun, but play with maximum effort.
Coach, before we get you out of here and get you a little bit of food over there, what's your message to the group Saturday before you take the field?
Well, like Jaden said, number one, we have to come out with energy and be ready to go and focus. And it doesn't have to be a rah-rah thing, but we just have to have that intensity ready to go. I believe, kind of at West Liberty, we came out hot. Our special teams really broke the game open early, and that we kind of rode that emotion through the rest of the game. Against Wheeling, we didn't have that, so we had to find it somewhere else. And we struggled at times, and especially in the first half, finding that energy other places. So that's going to be my main focus is how we come out with energy. I believe we're good enough. I definitely believe we're good enough. And I think we can do a lot of good things this year, not just against Kentucky Wesleyan, but the rest of the GMAC. So we got to control our energy. The thing I'm really happy about our team is some people ask me, hey, how's your team? I said, I really like my team. You know why? Because they're bonded together. They are a brotherhood. We don't have an offense, a defense, and a special teams. We have a Walsh University football team, and that's what I'm really excited about.
Love that whole group together, and at the end of the day, bring the energy and get dirty, right?
Yep.
All right, Larry Stout Field this Saturday. Kentucky Wesleyan comes to town. Make sure to stop out and support the Walsh Cavaliers. Walsh Cavalier football team getting after 1-1 on the season, going into week 3, coming off the bye week. Make sure to get out here. Pack the stands. Come out here and support these guys. And before the game, after the game, whatever it may be, stop out here to the Washington Square Winking Lizard and patronize them. Anytime you're on campus, make sure to stop over and see our good friends at the Washington Square Winking Lizard as they bring us Wednesdays at the Wink every Wednesday throughout the school year. Shout out to Greeny, Coach Fank, Jaden. Appreciate you guys, man. Get after it. I'm always in your corner supporting you, man. Get after it and bring home the W.
Thank you.
Thanks, you, TJ. Hey, I got a couple of Winking Lizard wings over there for you because it looks like you sweated off about 3 pounds.
Yeah. I feel like, do we have a cold plunge? We got a cold tub that can jump in over here? All right. Hey, they put the canopy down. It went over you guys, and it just left me out here like this. So, yeah, I'm going to hydrate. I'm going to get a couple waters in me. And we'll be back next week with more from the Washington Square Winking Lizard. Again, special shout out to Huntington, Bell Stores, Cleveland Clinic, Mercy Hospitals, BSN Sports, and the Sam Center. All right. For Coach Fank, for Jaden, Cam, Nate, Greeny. I'm TJ from the SMG Network. We'll be back next week with more. Get out there on Saturday and support the Cavaliers. Swords up. Get
Swords
after
up.
it.